So have you ever noticed that when you're stressed out, you lose your sense of humor, you lose your creativity, you even lose like the ability to connect with other people?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. I mean, we have high cortisol in those moments. I mean, it's like a stress hormone that puts us in fight or flight mode, and our thinking in those seasons or situations is pretty negative. I mean, we're not seeing all the potential that we actually have. Gratitude is a solution to getting out of that, to decreasing your stress. Gratitude for me, it gives me energy. It's like if I go and I work through my life and I say like, this is good. Even when something bad has happened, it's like, okay, I have the stuff that I need already. I can lose other things and I'm still good because I have a foundation there. It gives you courage. And I think you can do things to cultivate that. So today we're going to talk about gratitude and how it fuels bold action. We got 3 decisions that you can make that will help make it stick. And practical tools, stuff you can leave today applying. So welcome to the Decide Your Legacy podcast. I'm Adam Gragg. I'm a coach and a family therapist. I founded Decide Your Legacy in 2012. And what we do is help leaders and teams talk about and face the stuff they're not addressing so they can change and make long-term change, make progress. So today I have a special guest. His name is Ben Hutton. And I wanted to have Ben on because he has a new podcast called With Purpose. I've listened to, it's about 2 months now. You've had it out.
Yep.
And I was drawn to it for a few reasons. One, it's short and it's practical and it has a worksheet. And you guys all know I love worksheets. You can print off and it has questions that you have to answer to think. And so I felt like Ben as well has a good, healthy, and unique perspective on gratitude as I've listened to the podcast. And so we're going to talk about this today. And as I asked him to come on, when I asked him last week, I said, what are 3 takeaways, like major principles you give to people on this topic? And he rattled off some things very quickly. So I'm going to have him present what these, I call them 3 decisions you can make. And then we're going to elaborate on them based on the questions that I asked Ben. And I'm going to answer some too and chime in, but we're going to move it along that way. So Ben, will you share some things about yourself personally and professionally that would be helpful for the audience to get to know you?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, Adam, thanks so much for having me on your podcast. I'm really grateful
All right.
for the opportunity. So kind of goes along with gratitude, I guess, but I am grateful to get a chance to tell a little bit of my story and the journey I've been on with gratitude because honestly, it hasn't been pretty. And that's why I've focused in on some of it. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Wichita, right where we are right now. I have a family business that I run, so we do construction and architecture, facilities and maintenance stuff. Outside of that, married, 3 kids that are getting way too old, way too fast. But it's been pretty fun to be their dad and be married to Erin for more than 20 years now.
Wow.
So a little bit of my family history. And then just recently have started this podcast thing because I think I've learned a few lessons that I want to share with the world so people don't go through the pain or struggle that I had. So
yeah, and so tell us a little bit more about the podcast. So what's its purpose?
Yeah, so With Purpose is a weekly podcast. Like you said, it's pretty short, 10 or so minutes, that we take some time out and we learn a little bit about business or leadership, and then we take time to look at the week that we have coming ahead and plan it. One of my beliefs is that all of us, especially leaders, have more to do than they have time to do it in. And so what that means is we have to make choices about what we spend our time on. And I want to make sure that people are doing that purposefully. One thing that is unique about my podcast, I guess, is one, it has a worksheet, which I love worksheets too.
I do.
You said that.
Man.
So that's
Write
that's
it
fun.
down. Come
yeah,
on.
Exactly.
It's
I love a good box
don't
I
be
can
lazy.
fill in.
You can print this thing out.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Reminder.
So we attach a special worksheet or planner to every episode. But maybe the most unique thing is it comes out on Thursday because I like to do my planning on Thursdays. And we talked a little bit about this before. But I do my planning on Thursdays, one, because I found that it helps me end the week well, like pick up the things that I have forgotten about. It sets me up going into my next work week. So I show up Monday morning with a plan and I know what to dive into first. But the biggest reason is it puts the weekend, the time that I have to spend with my family and friends, right in the center, which I think is where it needs to be. And so I love planning on Thursdays. I know that's not for everybody. Some people do it Friday afternoon. Some people are Monday noon morning, but I'm a Thursday planner. So
yeah, and that kind of goes along with gratitude. I mean, you're really grateful for it belongs in the center. So what do you believe, Ben, are some of the misconceptions that people have about this whole topic? I mean, it's kind of, and by the way, we're right here at Thanksgiving time, so we got Thanksgiving coming up. So this is a timely topic. But what are the misconceptions?
Yeah, I mean, I think thinking about it, especially in the context of Thanksgiving, one of the first misconceptions is that it is sometimes natural. For me, and maybe it is for some people, natural, just to be grateful. But the reason I'm talking about it, and the reason it's the first box on that planner that we put out, because it doesn't come natural to me. I tend to focus in on the negative things going on in my life, and I plan my week from a deficit, or I worry about the things that I'm not getting done, instead of looking a little bit in reverse and being so grateful for all the great things that are or have happened. And so I think just the fact that you have to work at gratitude, like that is a task that can be scheduled, is outside of the vocabulary for how some people think about it.
Yeah, it's a safety mechanism that people don't even realize they're naturally going to employ. I mean, I wake up, I would say that it just, every morning is my worst 5 minutes just getting out of bed. Yeah. And I'm negative, and I have to have some routines at play I can engage in. So
I mean, just think about it. Like if you wake up in the middle of the night, are you waking up because you're feeling just so incredibly grateful for something that happened? No. I'm waking up worried about what it is that I forgot, or what it is that I have coming up. And so that's how we're starting most of our days too. Yeah.
Or you just have to really go to the bathroom and
for sure. I have that
crawl
problem
back
too.
in.
Part of getting older.
Yeah. So why should a business leader or a leader in general, which I like your definition of a leader on your podcast, one of them you mentioned, which would be great to really kind of hear. So why should they pay attention to this topic? Why does it matter?
Yeah. Well, so first, I think a leader is anybody that has influence, right? So that can be a business leader for sure, somebody who has authority, or like a position that has authority. But it's also a soccer coach and a volunteer at a church. And, anybody is really a leader if they've got somebody looking to them for guidance or clues as to how they're doing in life. So that, by that definition, I think that covers just about everybody over the age of 3 or 4. Right. And so I think everybody's a leader. And the reason they should care about gratitude is because of what you started this with. If we are leading from a place of negativity or scarcity, we're passing that on to those that are following us. And that's bad. I mean, I don't know a clearer way to say it. That's not where we want to lead from. We want to lead from a place of abundance, of potential, of what might be. We want to be leaders that recognize great things that are happening in our world, or with our team members, or those that are following us. Gratitude is the place that we want to start.
So what's the first decision that you shared with me?
So the first thing I think that I have to do, and then I think a lot of us have to do with gratitude, is actually schedule it. Which isn't, like I said before, natural. But I have found, unless I start my planning period with that, or unless I put a reminder on my calendar to just take 5 minutes and be grateful for something, or to send somebody on my team a text and say, hey, that was a really great thing that you did. I don't do it reliably. And so I have found that scheduling it is actually a really positive thing for me and for everybody else.
How do you do that? And when do you schedule it? How does it stay at the forefront?
Yep. So, the first way is that I listen to this new podcast that is out called With Purpose. The first way I do it is it's literally the first box on this planner that I have created. And outside of that podcast, I've been using this little planning sheet myself for years.
Okay.
For probably 4 years now, actually 5. And the first question on it is, what do I have to be grateful for from this last week? And so at least weekly, I'm taking some time to really think about it. And I think that's powerful. There's other times when I will schedule time on a Tuesday morning to just send 3 or 4 notes to my team members. I think certainly coming up with Thanksgiving this weekend, thinking about, how can I bring a true practice of gratitude into a time with my family? Mm-hmm. What can I do purposefully that might feel a little bit awkward just for that first 30 seconds to say, hey, like time out. I know we're having turkey and watching the Chiefs play, but let's be grateful for a minute and share with each other what we're grateful for.
Yeah, that is such a great point, because how do you deal with the resistance you get then? Because it's like people resist this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're on the spot. You're kind of awkward. You've thrown them off. They're watching football.
Yeah. Well, so I think first I'd say I come from an industry, the construction industry, that this is not a natural thing inside of. Like show up at a job site and be like, hey, everybody, let's have a group time and hug each other and be grateful for something. Doesn't feel natural, but at the same time, all of us are humans. All of us crave connection with other people. All of us want to hear that we are doing a good job. And I have found when, as a leader, I'm willing to be uncomfortable just for those first few seconds, everybody is actually really grateful for the opportunity to participate in that, especially if it's framed in a way of recognizing the good that they see in somebody else. Mm-hmm.
Very good
a lot of us don't like talking about ourselves. Like I don't like pointing out the things that I have done good. I love to point out the things that somebody else on my team has done good and celebrate them.
And how does doing that impact your own level of gratitude within your own life by giving it to other people?
Oh, I mean, it only increases it. I mean, I think one of the things, and maybe you can tell me the real language and vocabulary around this, but I think we operate all the time with confirmation bias, and our brains find what we're looking for or what we fill them with. And so if I prime it with people telling me, hey, John was great at this, and Ben, you did a good job at this, and I share something back, like that puts it in a cycle that begins to repeat itself that in a positive way instead of a negative circle that ends in a bad spot.
Yeah. So was there a moment when this became a true practice for you? And if so, can you describe what happened that woke you up? Or you said you had a negative bend at times in your life. So
yeah, I mean, I can't point to a single time other than that I've had several times in my life when people that I love and trust have pulled me aside and said, hey, am I doing a good job? I need more feedback from you. Or somebody that I love and my family has said, I need to hear that you love me, and that and not just where I'm falling short.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so gratitude is just a part of the answer to those things, but it is the thing that reminds me that I have to put real effort into having those conversations. Because it's not my natural tendency, which I'm ashamed of. I every time those conversations come about, I'm surprised by it, because these are people that I love and respect and I think are amazing people, and I've let them down by not telling them that.
And those are markers that you can reflect on to say, like, I got to remember that kind of stuff.
Right. So that's why I created that box on my schedule to say, like, am I doing this weekly?
Yeah, and I think it's helpful for the audience to know this is not a natural habit. This is not the way most people go about their life. I was sometimes when I've had difficult situations, these memories come up in my past, and there's certain things that sort of rocked me to say I have to be disciplined with scheduling and engaging in gratitude. One of them didn't happen but 4 years ago, and one of my best friends from elementary school had a massive stroke at age 48. And, it's made our friendship closer, but it's also just been like, man, I got to be grateful for these things. And even something simple, like if I have car trouble, this picture of me when in 2000, I got the wheels stolen off my car in the middle of the night. I have this picture. If I have car trouble, it's like, okay, it could be worse kind of thing. But that's a big part of shocking me or rocking me to say, I got to get things back on track and do some scheduling here.
Yeah.
And it's even when I decided to create practices that have stuck. So,
Yeah.
so did you have something to add to that, or?
Yeah. I mean, I think another thing I shared with you is I think you do have to find things like those images in your head or something that hangs on your wall that reminds you of this or keeps it in focus. And one of those things for me is I actually have laminated in my shower a copy of Romans 12 because it's representative of who I want to be in my life. And so I found a way to put that in a place that I would stare at it every day. Not intentionally. It's just there. I cannot avoid looking at it. It is literally in front of my eyes. And so it's a daily reminder. And I think finding ways to keep that in focus, whether it's something that's on your fridge, a song that automatically plays when you get in your car, like how can you design something in your life to put that habit that you want to have in front of you automatically?
That's a big deal. And it leads into the next decision that Ben had shared with me, which is what?
Just to keep it in focus, right?
To be
intentional.
Keep it in focus. So what's something that you're grateful for that might surprise people, Ben?
Something that I am grateful for that might surprise people is I am grateful for when people tell me that I'm wrong about things or challenge me. I think one of the things that I have going in my life is that I have risen to a position in my company that has authority that sometimes people can be intimidated by. So I love when I get challenged there. I've also learned about myself that I am a pretty confident person. When I come to believe something, I believe it all the way. And I'm wrong a lot of the time. And I consider it a real gift when somebody tells me that, hopefully tactfully.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for that. And it's something that I wish I got more of.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I'm wrong about this, you just tell me.
Yeah. And do you think people realize that about you, that you want that kind of feedback?
I have tried to invite it. I don't know if everybody realizes it. But I've tried to invite it.
This question gets me excited. I actually asked a business this morning because I thought about, like, what am I grateful for that people might be surprised by? And one of them is zipper shirts.
Okay.
So I've had trouble finding shirts that fit me. And they have a zipper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, huh? Yeah.
That's cool.
So discovered that, and obviously I find they're kind of popular. So
really?
I guess I'm an early adopter.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It is a thing, man, because if you can't get, like, fitted shirts do not fit me. Like I like them, you want them tighter in, but anyway. Yeah. And I'm also grateful for toys. Like, I brought this Brio Labyrinth. I've had this thing since I was 10 years old, and it's one of the best things for my mental space to play this game. And I actually love challenging people, hopefully not out of pride, but like if they can do this as quickly as me, then there's definitely a prize.
You can get all the way to the end?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But it focuses your energy, man. It's the best toy.
Yeah.
And it lasts a long time. So I'm grateful these little things you can find. I mean, anything come to you like that, like just something basic that you're like, dude, why do I not appreciate that more?
That's a great question. What actually comes to mind, and it's a little bit off, is I am really grateful for the show Ted Lasso.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it, yes.
I've watched
absolutely.
it. I've watched it 3 times.
Okay.
Just because I love the combination of, like, smart humor, sarcasm, awkward situations, but then, like, real deep emotional things and the learning that comes with that, that it's like, I can apply that in my life right now. I think that is maybe the best show made in the last couple of decades.
It's very high quality.
It's awesome. I love it. So
you're picky about shows like that, I can tell.
I am.
I am super picky too.
Yeah.
I watched the first series. I started to watch Billions and I liked it kind of, but I'm like, I don't know, a little bit. Yeah. But I did watch the first episode 1883 last night.
I have not seen
and that was pretty interesting. So is it, people often share that they've had and this is a hard question to answer. It's not really possible, but what would change in your life and how would people know if you were nearly always grateful? I think the biggest marker
that would change in my life if I was truly always grateful would be that I would feel more present wherever I am. Mm-hmm. I think we are. I think we're walking around constantly worried about what's coming in the future, and it keeps us from being present and grateful and participating in what's happening in front of us right now. And it also drives us to sign up. Like my fear and anxiety drives me to sign up for more and more stuff, or put more and more stuff on my plate that I think I need to do. And I think gratitude, if I was truly carrying that all the time, would have me in a place where I didn't feel the need to do that.
If I was always grateful, I think the number one thing people would recognize in me is that I would not. They would notice that I'd be a lot more encouraging of other people, that I wouldn't go to what's wrong, and because I can do that frequently. And I think the second thing is I wouldn't second guess. I'd just be like, I made a decision. We're gonna fail, possibly. It's okay. And then I wouldn't just second guess myself. So what's your quote?
So this is a quote that I love by Mary Jean Iron. And I don't know exactly how to say her last name, but I think that's how you say it. But it's essentially a poem. It's called Normal Day. Can I read it?
You got it.
It says, "Normal day, let me be aware of the treasure that you are. Let me learn from you, love you, bless you before we depart. Let me not pass you by in a quest of some rare and perfect tomorrow. Let me hold you while I may, for it may not be always so. One day I shall dig my nails into the earth, or bury my face in the pillow, stretch myself taut, or raise my hands to the sky and want, more than all the world, your return."
Wow. Cool.
I think that's so powerful, because we all are focused all of the time on the big things that are coming in the future that we're excited about or worried about, and we aren't present in what's happening today. And the small treasures that they really are.
Yeah.
It's the normal soccer game or the conversation with my teenager at 10:15 that are the real special times when I can build connections.
Dude, I'm so glad you read that, because I love poetry.
Yeah.
And that makes me grateful hearing it, because I pay my daughter $50 every poem she memorizes.
Oh, nice.
I'm so grateful for that, because you know what? It's such a valuable thing.
Yeah.
And she's in Boston in college. So I've been trying to stay connected to her. She memorizes it, has to recite it. And that's a great poem.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
Yeah. So you probably heard the saying that, like, whatever you focus on and measure, you get more of.
Yes.
And so you want to get healthier. What do? You track what you eat. You track your exercise schedule. You want to get more sleep, track it. You want to you want to read more, track it. Gratitude's the same thing, but what do people track when it comes to gratitude?
I think you have to, at least for me, you have to get really specific about what can I do, what actions or behaviors can I exhibit that are gratitude, and track those things. So I have done challenges with myself in the past where it's like, okay, for the next year, I want to send 3 text messages every day to friends and tell them I'm grateful for something. Or every week, I want to send a handwritten note to one of our clients and say, thank you for trusting us to build your project. So I think you have to break it down into really specific behaviors, because gratitude is such a big concept. It's like, okay, I'm going to get better at gratitude. What does that mean? I think it means specific behaviors.
What a great example, because those are very specific things of being encouraging people. But what are habits people practice that probably, and they don't even necessarily know it, but it really hurts their level of thankfulness in their life, that they could identify in advance and kind of get unstuck?
I think a habit that puts you in the wrong place mentally is making a list of the gaps between where you are and where you want to be, which is how we measure most goals or how we make to-do lists. Instead of taking a moment to realize the gain of where we've been and how far we've come towards those goals, and measuring progress or success that way. So I think that's one way.
Yeah.
Just sitting down and outlining every place we fall short. That's not going to put us in a very grateful place. What's another?
Man, I would say comparison puts me in a bad spot. If I look at their life or what they have, or even if they're younger than me or they're older, I mean, they can come in all kinds of different forms. They're a better golfer than me, and I don't want to play golf because I don't want to be, or that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And perfectionism, just all or nothing, like, because it's no risk in that, success or failure.
Yeah.
Pretty similar to what you're sharing.
Yeah, I mean, I think another one that goes along with that is letting other people set expectations for us that we don't buy into or set for ourselves. And so there's been times in my life that I felt like I had to be a certain kind of leader or do a certain thing to live up to what other people expected of me at the time. And that's really draining and exhausting to try and be somebody that you're not. And it was a dark time for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, has there been, I just kind of curious, like a time you'd say this has been the darkest time that I got through?
Oh man, we're going deep.
We're going deep. I mean,
the darkest time of my life was, I think it was in 2013, but it was at 3:00 in the morning. I was sitting in my office, which at the time was on West Street, a couple miles south of Kellogg here in Wichita, and I was sending an email actually to my dad, who I had taken over running the family business from 3 years earlier. And I was sending him an email about everything I felt like was going wrong in the business and how I didn't think I could continue because for the 3 years before that time, I was trying to lead the business like he had. I was trying to step into the shoes that he had left and do it exactly like he did because I thought that's what leading that business looked like. And so despite the skills that I had that were different than his, despite the personality that I had that was different than his, despite the opportunities that the business had that were different, I was trying to emulate him instead of being me. And that put me personally in a really dark spot, and it circumstances in the business created challenge at the same time to the point where I was done. Like I was on the inside totally depleted. Outside, things looked great. The business was growing. We were successful. Our team was awesome. But there was a huge disconnect. And so it was at that point that I had to have a little bit of reset for me and dig deep into like, what is it that I am actually capable of? Who was I created to be? And what did that look like for me to lead the business with those skills instead of others? That's actually one of the reasons why I have Romans 12 in my showers, because part of that chapter in Romans talks about the body of Christ and that everybody has a different set of gifts and skills. And if your gift is leadership, then you should lead well. If it is speaking, you should speak well. And it lays that out. And for years I had glossed over that. But now I read that daily to remind myself that each of us is unique and each of us should be the person that we are created to be, not anybody else.
So that leads us to the third. That's a great segue. Well, first of all, how did gratitude play a role getting out of that spot in 2013?
Yeah. I mean, I was in a spot where I was unable to recognize the good that was happening around me. Right. And so even though we were growing as a business and things were going in a very excellent direction in a number of ways, I was only able to focus on where I was in a deficit. And so gratitude became an important practice over the next couple of years for me to really recognize the gains that I had made and not just focused on the gap. And it became a practice to make sure that I was planning for the future, planning my next steps from a place of positivity, not negativity.
You know, I think it's probably important to point out that it's a gradual process. It's
yeah,
not
I mean,
overnight
so it wasn't like I sent that email and then the next day it was all good. Yeah. It was 2 years of like discovery and change and communicating with other people. It was a journey. And it's still like I still fight some of those battles today.
So what's the third decision?
Yeah. So the third thing I think that you have to do with gratitude is protect that mindset or protect it. So what does that look like for me? What it looks like is when I get in my car in the morning and I drive to the office, I have a specially curated list of songs that I listen to that make sure I show up in the right mindset. Now it's 35, 40 songs. I don't know. It's a lot. But I found if I instead listen to music that puts me in an angry mood, or I listen to the news and I get depressed about all of the crap that's happening in our world right now, I show up in a way worse mood, and I carry that throughout the whole rest of the day. And so I have to be very careful to protect just those first few minutes of my day because it carries on through the rest of the day for me.
Can you do it even if you're really discouraged?
I can.
You can still do it.
So here's what I've found. And actually, there's a study. If you force yourself to smile for like 30 seconds, it releases the same endorphins as if you're happy. Yeah. Right? And so when I get in the car and I'm pissed off, if I put on that music from Andy Grammer that just pumps me up, hey, it changes my mood. Like, I don't actually have to be a participant in it. So
that's a great point. Yeah. So, and I love comedy for that reason. You smile, right? And I did discover something recently, and it's called Impractical Jokers.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, man. These guys are great.
They are.
I love this thing. But it's an old show. I can't believe I had never heard of that until
that's great.
2 weeks ago. But smile is powerful right there. And so how does gratitude, in your opinion, impact long-term growth and success? Kind of addressed it here, but anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is an accelerator for your long-term success. Can you be successful and be a negative, grouchy, ungrateful person? Sure. I mean, we've seen examples of this all over the world and all over the news. Can you be more successful if you're grateful and have a bigger mindset and bring people along with you and encourage them along the way? I think for sure, yes. Yeah. And I think that's what one of the messages I want to share with the world. Like, be grateful.
Be grateful. Yeah.
Be grateful.
And what would you like to share with other leaders or challenge other leaders based on all this that would help them grow? There's one thing you could share.
So the thing I would share is that we have agency, and we are not victims of circumstance. Jim Collins has a great book called Great by Choice, and the epilogue is my favorite part of that book. He talks about we have the option to choose to be great. In all of their research, that it comes down to this. Everybody has similar circumstances. Over the course of your life, we have similar luck. It is what we choose to do with the circumstances and what we choose to do with the luck or misluck that comes our way. And so my challenge to other leaders that might be listening to this, to other people that might be listening to this, is that you have agency and you can choose, no matter how frustrated you are, how bad your day might have been, you can choose to be grateful for everything else good that is happening in your life, or even what you might learn from the bad stuff that is happening. And so gratitude is an active choice that we make. It's something that we do, and you're in charge of that.
You have agency. Okay. Yeah. And so a choice you could make is to print off the planner and go through this planner.
Yeah.
I love the 6 areas.
Yeah.
And it's like a must fix section, tasks,
right?
Contacts. I mean, could you share a little bit about that? Because I think that is a good thing to highlight. And also, just how do people get in touch with you?
For sure.
To check out With Purpose.
Yeah. So you can search out With Purpose on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can go to benhutton.com and there's a With Purpose section there. You can check that out. There's a planner. You could download it there and check it out, but it's got different sections. So it starts with gratitude. And then the opposite of gratitude is the stuff that you've just putting off, the stuff that you wake up worrying about but haven't done yet. And so there's a little place to just write that down, because I've found that there is actually power in writing down and committing that, okay, this week I'm just going to do that thing and get it done. From there, we put a couple questions that we customize on the planner each week that go along with a business lesson that we share. And then the bottom half is a little more practical. It's like, what are the 4 things that I'm going to focus on this week, the 4 most important things? And then who are just the other 20 people I need to call, or 10 tasks that I need to do that just, I know I need to record them somewhere. Let's write them down so we keep track of it. And then you have this one piece of paper that, like, this is your plan for the week, and I just carry that with me from meeting to meeting and pull it out when I like, what in the heck do I even have to do next?
Super helpful. Yeah. Just getting it out there, because I love the brain dump aspect to it.
Yeah. And I do love a worksheet.
I love a worksheet, man. I have got to, okay. Dude, yeah, for sure. I have love with that stuff. So in review, the 3 things you want to do to decide. We got number 1 is to schedule it.
Yep. So schedule your gratitude. Put it on your calendar. Make a commitment for a time to actually be grateful. So schedule it.
Schedule it, man. Number 2 is keep it in focus.
Yep. Find a way to put it in front of you so that it doesn't have to be in your memory only. There's something that reminds you to be grateful.
Very big. And so number 3 is to protect it, to fight for it.
Right. Yep. So whether that's a playlist or music or avoiding a certain person that puts you in a negative mindset, like, protect that because it's easily damaged.
Big deal. And I would encourage you, I hit a link in the podcast to this article that I wrote many years ago. It's 25 gratitude questions, basically. Do something like that, and you can get yourself out of it. Have a practice. All kinds of people have different practices. Ben's With Purpose worksheet is excellent, and you can check out and explore those things there. So I want to just close with one little story to wrap this up for me. I didn't share this, but one of the most difficult times in my life was when I didn't sleep for 4 days in a row. I was grieving. I was dealing with loss of a marriage. It was a very difficult time. I mean, it's probably the most difficult time. But what I did realize through that is I have real friends that I can trust, because in a lot of ways, I felt like I had deal friends and not real friends. But I actually realized, because it was 2 people that brought me to the hospital that are good friends, Brent and Dave. You know you are. So gratitude will make you courage. You have those people there, and that's a big deal in my life. So I want to challenge you guys. What insight did you gain from this podcast today? What one insight? Don't overwhelm yourself, but think about that insight. You change 80% of change, or when you think of change, 20% of making a big change in your life is gaining insight. 80% is action. So you have to take an action. You have to go to the podcast. You have to download the worksheet. You have to do something. So what did Ben share today that you want to apply? Write it down, teach it to somebody else. Talk about it, but commit. By the end of the day, you're going to take some kind of an action. To decide means that you're eliminating other options. Your legacy is the impact your life has on others. There's no positive change until you decide to change. Decide today. Your legacy depends on it. So I'm going to close the way I always do. Make it your mission to live the life today that you want to be remembered for 10 years after you're gone. You decide your legacy, nobody else. I appreciate you greatly, and I'll see you next time.